Welcome to Paranormal Nightshift, your go-to destination for all things that go bump in the dark. This is where your fan-submitted stories come to life, weaving spine-chilling tales that keep the mystery alive. Tonight, we're diving into a story from one of our listeners, Cirese, titled Meditation Mount. But before we begin, I've got something special for you. Head over to paranormalnightshift.com and grab your free copy of the first ebook in the Dimensional Desperado series, The Birth of Dimensional Desperado. Trust me, you don't want to miss how Buck Freeman's journey into the paranormal begins. Now, settle in, dim the lights, and let's explore the mystery of Meditation Mount. The supernatural and I have always had a complicated relationship. It's not something I sought out. It just seemed to find me, no matter where I went. Growing up in a haunted house as a little girl set the stage for a lifetime of strange and unexplainable experiences. And even now, as I write a book about those events, I can't help but marvel at how many times the veil between the worlds seemed thinner for me. One of the most chilling encounters happened during my college years, and it's a story that still gives me pause every time I recall it. It was 1982, and I was juggling school with a job at a little pizza place a couple of towns over. The hours were grueling, long nights and late shifts, but the pizza was worth it, and it paid the bills. One particularly warm evening, I was counting down the minutes until closing when a group of guys around my age strolled in, hungry for a late-night slice. As I served them, we got to chatting. They mentioned they were heading out to do some stargazing for an astronomy class and invited me along. It sounded like a great way to unwind after my shift, and the idea of escaping into the night under a blanket of stars was too tempting to resist. So, once the last pan was cleaned and the door was locked, I hopped in my car and followed their convoy to a place called Meditation Mount. Meditation Mount was known as a sort of spiritual hub, nestled in the middle of orange groves and sagebrush. It had an air of mystique, the kind of place where you could almost feel the history whispering to you through the rustling leaves. Even as we parked at the edge of the grove and started walking, I felt a strange mix of anticipation and unease. It had been a blisteringly hot day, and though the night had cooled slightly, the air still clung to us like a warm, damp blanket. There were about 8 of us, and we set off in a single file, navigating the narrow, scruffy path that twisted through the underbrush. A guy with a flashlight took the lead, the beam cutting through the darkness ahead. I, unfortunately, found myself at the back of the line. Normally, I wouldn't have minded, but something about that night made me uneasy. Maybe it was the way the path seemed to disappear into the shadows, or how the orange groves felt alive in the silence. Whatever it was, I stayed close to the boy in front of me, not wanting to fall behind. The group was moving steadily, chatting softly, the crunch of our footsteps blending with the occasional chirp of crickets. I kept my eyes on the bouncing light ahead, matching the pace of the boy in front of me, when suddenly I stopped. My feet wouldn't move. I tried stepping forward again, but it was like something was physically holding me back. It wasn't fear. I tried to tell myself that, just something. Confused, I shifted my weight and tried moving sideways. That worked. Backward? No problem. But forward? My feet might as well have been glued to the ground. "Hey!" I called up the line. "Hold on, I'm stuck." The flashlight paused, then started bobbing its way toward me as the lead guy turned back. "What's wrong?" he asked when he reached me. "I don't know. I just can't move forward. My feet won't budge." He shone the flashlight down, illuminating the path. That's when we both saw it. Right there, etched into the dirt, was a pentagram. My stomach dropped. The symbol glowed faintly under the beam of the flashlight, its edges perfectly drawn. It wasn't something accidental like random scratches or erosion. Someone had deliberately carved it there, and the energy radiating from it was palpable. It felt like a wall of invisible force had slammed into me, and now that I saw it, I understood why I couldn't move forward. I could feel the power of it, a barrier that wasn't letting me pass. The others apparently had walked right through it without even noticing, but not me. Whatever this was, it had singled me out. The guy with the flashlight stared at the pentagram, his face pale. "What the hell?" he muttered, stepping back instinctively. "Pentagrams are usually meant to keep things out," I said, my voice unsteady. "Looks like it worked." It wasn't lost on me that whoever had made this symbol might still be lurking nearby. The idea sent a cold shiver down my spine, and I wasn't about to stick around to find out. "I think I'm done," I said, turning around. "You all go on without me. I'm heading back." I didn't wait for a response. My feet, which had been so stubborn moments ago, suddenly found their freedom as I retreated down the path. The further I got from the pentagram, the lighter I felt, as though an oppressive weight had lifted off my shoulders. I didn't dare look back, not wanting to see what or who might be watching. When I reached my car, I sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Who had drawn that pentagram? What was it meant to keep out or in? And why had it stopped me, and only me? To this day, I don't have answers. I never went back to Meditation Mount, and I never found out if the others noticed anything strange that night. But that encounter stayed with me, a chilling reminder that sometimes the unseen forces around us are very real and very powerful. As for that pentagram, I often wonder, did it stop me to protect me from something ahead? Or was it keeping something from following me back? Either way, I'm not eager to find out. And that wraps up tonight's tale. Cirese, thank you so much for sharing your incredible story with us. It's listeners like you who keep this podcast alive and thriving. Now, if you'd like to support the show and help us keep bringing these paranormal journeys to life, there are a couple of ways you can do that. First, consider joining us on Patreon. Not only will you enjoy an ad-free experience, but you'll also get exclusive access to all future journeys in the Dimensional Desperado ebook series. It's a great way to dive even deeper into Buck Shadow Sheriff Freeman's adventures. If Patreon's not your thing, no worries. You can still support us by subscribing to the podcast on Spotify or YouTube. While you're there, leave us a comment and let us know what you thought about this episode. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us grow the show. And don't forget, we're giving away a free copy of the very first ebook in the Dimensional Desperado series, The Birth of Dimensional Desperado. Head over to paranormalnightshift.com and claim your copy today. Lastly, if you have your own strange or spine-chilling story to share, we'd love to hear it. You can submit your story right here on Paranormal Nightshift. And who knows, your experience might just be the next one we feature. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, keep your eyes on the shadows. You never know what's waiting just beyond the veil.